And this is Steve from Asset Lab. So the three questions, well, this video will try to answer some of those three questions, though I do have to declare that some of the questions are a little wibbly wobbly as far as interpretation. But let's go through it. Number one, what's the impact of not continuing with EA for an existing EA customer? Well, it depends what you mean by not continuing. You bought into a 3, 4, or 5 year enterprise agreement underneath what's called your master business services agreement, right? So if you terminate right now, you still have to make payments because your EA is effectively basically a rent-to-own program with the ability to move up and change and buy and whatnot. So if you're at the end of your EA with Microsoft, you do have every right to not re-pursue a new enterprise agreement or other volume license agreement. The effect of that is that not much, right? Depending upon whether you think tactically or strategically. Tactically, you still maintain those perpetual licenses for, right to now. So if you engaged in an EA in 2015 for product X and it came out in version 2015 and then it went to version 2017 and then 2018, right? You continue the usage rights for those next versions up to 2018. But once the EA is done, boop, you're locked in amber, right? Forever locked in time. The usage rights of that version that you last had is yours forever and at that quantity. And so all of the usage rights, whether it needs to be licensed based upon old procs or whether they allow lesser, all of those usage rights are still yours forever at that quantity. And if that will keep you going for the next 10 years, so be it, right? And it used to be that's how the smarter customers would leapfrog their Microsoft Office. They would run it out for about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, right? And then buy every 7 years. They would actually skip versions and not put Office into the next EA. They would skip over EAs consecutively. So tactically, there's no harm, but it does stop you from acquiring the newer versions of particular products on an ongoing basis. And if that's of value to you, then you continue with the EA. But if, as an example, if you're good with Microsoft Visio 2017 Standard Edition for the next 10 years, for that, you would not include it in the EA, all right? So is there an incremental subscription charge in EAs for PCs? Right. Okay. Yeah, if you are purchasing new PCs, and if your operating system is part of your enterprise agreement, chances are the OEM edition of Windows that came with the PC that you bought may or may not be able to interoperate with your management features and so on. So you may have to move it up to a professional edition. It depends what version of Windows you're getting on your OEM PCs, right? Now, again, you retain that license as long as you own that particular device. So inherently, there can be incremental charges in the enterprise agreement, and that's what it's built to do. As part of a true-up, you figure out, oh, did I deploy a few more? Do I need a few more? And you basically, a la carte, you buy more items into the enterprise agreement. So there can be incremental charges, though there doesn't have to be, right? And again, all of this is depending upon what version and edition of Windows you're buying on your OEM PC. So some editions of Windows do not have networking capabilities, right? Or they don't have the CAL requirements, or so on and so on. Same with servers, right? But maybe servers less so. So if you help us understand, or everybody hear the edition and version of what you're buying, it may or may not affect further requirements of incorporating your servers or your PCs into your corporate environment. Sorry, that's vague, but it really depends, right? Lastly, what are the list of MSDN software and their capabilities and functionalities? Wow, well, every piece of Microsoft software is pretty well on the MSDN list. So if you have an MSDN subscription, you're allowed to install effectively anything, right? Depending upon the MSDN program. So you need Exchange for testing? Boom, yeah, you can install the Enterprise Edition, right? You need Microsoft Visio 2014 Standard Edition, boom, you can install it. So your MSDN subscription, based upon whether it's the Enterprise or Universal or whatever it is, effectively gives you the access to the entire plethora of Microsoft titles. I use the word plethora. Cool. For as long as you have that subscription, and as long as it's not operating in a production or customer-facing scenario. In other words, it has to be for user acceptance testing, beta, another sort of development requirements. So there you go. Hope that helps. Cheers from Asset Labs in Ottawa, Canada.